Okay, good afternoon, Paola. I hope you are doing well. We previous start our conversation talking in Spanish, so I'm going to share with you a sutta from the Samyutta Nikaya. This is the connected discourses, uh, and particularly is from the book 36 that talk about Vedana or feelings. That is a way to describe our present experience. So I'm going to share the sutta. I am going to read it all first without any commentary, and then I start to somehow develop some kind of commentary or explanation. Uh, yeah. Well, it's from the book 36, and the sutta is the number 3. I use the Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, and the name of the sutta is Abandonment. See? So, because there are these three feelings, what three? Pleasant feelings, painful feeling, neither painful nor pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to lust should be abandoned in regard to pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to aversion should be abandoned in regard to painful feeling. The underlying tendency to ignorance should be abandoned in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling. When a bhikkhu has abandoned the underlying tendency to lust in regard to pleasant feeling, the underlying tendency to aversion in regard to painful feeling, the underlying tendency to ignorance in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling, then he is called a bhikkhu without underlying tendencies, one who sees rightly. He has cut off craving, severed the fetters, and by completely breaking through conceit, he has made an end of suffering. And then it comes a poem. When one experiences pleasure, if one does not understand feeling, the tendency to lust is present, for one not seeing the escape from it. When one experiences pain, if one does not understand feeling, the tendency to aversion is present, for one not seeing the escape from it. The one of broad wisdom has taught, with reference to that peaceful feeling, neither painful nor pleasant. If one seeks delight even in this, one is still not released from suffering. But when a bhikkhu who is ardent does not neglect clear comprehension, then that wise man fully understands feelings in their entirety. Having fully understood feelings, he is taintless in this very life. Standing in Dhamma, with the body's breakup, the knowledge master cannot be reckoned. So it's a very short sutta, but very deep. So I'm going to read it again. And the first part, the first paragraph, because there are these three feelings. What three? Pleasant feeling, painful feeling, neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So this is the first statement, and we have three feelings or three kind of experience: pleasant, painful, or neither painful nor pleasant. And regarding this aspect, the Buddha show this kind of experience, this kind of feelings in different ways. For example, he talked about two feelings, painful and pleasant. Three feelings, this is the case. Five feelings regarding the four sensual cords. Uh, Six feelings, that is pleasant feeling, painful feeling, neither painful nor pleasant feeling regarding mundane or supramundane feelings. And then we have 18, 36, and 180 uh, possibilities of feelings. Yes. So here the Buddha just he uh, was establishing what he's talking about, three feelings. And then he starts with the underlying tendency to lust should be abandoned in regard to pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to aversion should be abandoned in regard to painful feeling. The underlying tendency to ignorance should be abandoned in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So here we are talking about the dependent origination. And specifically, we're talking about the link or the connection between Vedana and uh, Tanha. So feeling and craving. It's between these two links that we have a strong bond and a strong, we have the strongest possibility to arise this underlying tendency. Why is this? Because we have a feeling, we have an experience. And if we are not aware of that, if we don't have our mindfulness set in our mind, for example, we have a pleasant feeling, and as soon as the feeling starts, we want more, and we want to start to pursue that feeling, and we start to being obsessed about it. So why is that? Why this obsession with this pleasant feeling, or the opposite? We have a painful feeling, uh, maybe someone took us in a very ugly way, and as soon as this sound arises in our ear, we start to feel a very painful feeling. We are not agree with the other person. We start to feel that the other person uh, doesn't like it, our opinion, or maybe we don't like each other, and all this kind of thoughts and feelings and mental proliferation. And in the third option, if we don't, if our mindful is not sharp enough, the tendency to ignorance will arise, because generally this tendency is related to when we are identified with some kind of role. I am that. I am a good father. I am a good worker. I am a bad father. I'm a bad worker, or whatever it might be. So it's very related with some kind of personification or identification with some role or some role of our life. So this is the power of feelings. And this is very important, because this is the power of our experience. We cannot get away from our feeling, from our experience, because it's the present moment. But if our mindfulness is strong enough, we can we can see that it's just a feeling and nothing else. But if in that precise moment we are distracted, the underlying tendency will arise through underlying tendency to aversion, to lust, or to ignorance. And this is why, through this underlying tendency, anusaya is the word in Pali, is the reason why our craving is so strong. And this is the condition that our craving not only so strong, but also is nourished by these anusayas, but this underlying tendency. And this brings us the obsession in the mind, that is a way to manifest craving, and then the attachment. And this also we're going to establish in the existence link, in the Baba. And this kind of existence, this kind of habitual tendency will arise our actions. So in this way, we are going to nourish again this underlying tendency, this karma. So if I want to show you some kind of picture of this or some kind of movie, we have in the surface the experience and craving. Let's say we have a beautiful tree that is the experience, that is the Vedana, the feeling. And then in some moment, I have a fruit that in this simile is like craving. That what I don't see is the underlying tendency. That is the nourish, the relate the aspect of nourishment of this tree and fruit is something that is works in the back of our mind. It's very deep. So when we are meditating, we have to be very aware of this kind of how could I be aware of this underlying tendency. So I am meditating and in some moment some pain arises in my mind and I start to feel and I reckon that pain I recognize and I just let it go and then I relax. These 3 steps give us the possibility to somehow remove the nourishment from these underlying tendencies.
In that image between the tree and the fruit, these 3 steps are between that tree and the fruit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What I want to say is that is not is that these 3 things is not between the tree and the fruit. This is the how can we treat this kind of hindrances. You know what I mean? So if I have a present experience and I am really sharp, I really have a sharp attention, mindfulness, the the craving have no possibility to arise. This is when the mindfulness is purified by equanimity. If my mindfulness and my equanimity is really strong, craving would not have possibility to arise. Because I understand correctly what is feeling. It's just a feeling. I cannot fight with that. I cannot desire for more, and I can't identify with that feeling. But this is due to mindfulness and equanimity. But if I have not mindfulness or equanimity, or maybe my mindfulness and equanimity are not strong enough, craving would arise. And the reason that this craving arises is due to underlying tendencies, due to this anusaya. This is the main reason. But why I react so quickly to this feeling? Why if someone tells me some harsh words, immediately I respond in the same way? Because the underlying tendency is very strong, very silent, and invisible. And I catch myself in the reaction. In the second paragraph, when a bhikkhu has abandoned the underlying tendency to lust, regard to unpleasant feeling, the underlying tendency to aversion in regard to painful feeling, and the underlying tendency to ignorance in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling, then he is called a bhikkhu without underlying tendencies, one who sees rightly. He has cut off craving, severed the fetters, and by completely breaking through conceit, he has made an end of to suffering. So this is a very important statement. So here the Buddha is talking about an arahant, and there are 7 underlying tendencies, but here in this sutta is the main 3: the underlying tendency to aversion, to lust, to ignorance, but there are underlying tendency to doubt and to opinion. These 2 are cut off when the practitioner is a stream entry. That is why when some people experience for the first time the Nibbana experience, the doubt disappear from their mind, and also the doubtful aspect of the mind is also very diminished. The underlying tendency to opinion is also is cut off in the first path, because the person recognized that the opinion is just a thought, or just a vision, or just a perspective that is only important regarding practical ways, and there is no identity behind it. And the other 2 are the underlying tendency to conceit and the underlying tendency to existence. So in the last statement, he cut off craving, severed the fetters, and by completely breaking through conceit, because here conceit is a very important word, because it's related to the 9 fetters. Conceit is not proud it's not the same that proud in English. Conceit here is the mind that make compare things. Yeah, it's the mind that always compare things as superior, inferior, or the same, or equal. Or is always calculating, what can I get from this bargain? What can I get from this experience? What can I get from this meditation? That is conceit. That is especially very powerful because generally expressed as me, mine, or myself. And it's very close to the asmimana. Is in Pali, with the vision, with ignorance, and with the vision of an I. I am. This is mine. This is myself. So conceit is a very subtle fetter, or sometimes not, but many times is very subtle, because in all our daily activities, generally we have this kind of little identification, or very, I don't know if in English exists this word, tenuous, very slightly, or subtle, that were subtle identifications. We have to be very aware of this, because generally we are going to see that in the small things, conceit put its foot on it. So we arrive to the poem. It's a very beautiful poem. When one experiences pleasure, if one does not understand feeling, the tendency to lust is present, for one not seeing the escape from it. So here is the Buddha is express this through the Four Noble Truths. for when one experiences pleasure, if one does not understand feeling, what is that? What is feeling? Feeling is my experience right now. So how feeling arises? Through contact. How feeling disappear? When contact is out of the question, feeling doesn't have the conditions to arise. And when we understand this, and when I say when we start understand this, I not mean that it's in a intellectual way, but in a very experiential way. We understand that when we are meditating and some painful feeling arises in our mind, we understand that our mind made contact with that. And because of that contact, feeling arises, Vedana arises, our experience arises. And this is somehow the condition for reality. We cannot fight with this. For a Buddha or for an arahant, there is also pleasant feeling, painful feeling, or neither pleasant nor neither painful nor pleasant feeling, but there is no identification with any of these three feelings, because they see as they are. It's just feeling. So if we are not an arahant, the tendency to lust is present for one not seeing the escape from it. And one of the escape from it is to not react to it. That is why in many suttas the Buddha said you have to tolerate bhikkhu. And the word tolerate have some nuances that you have to tolerate, you have to hold on, or you have to repress your answer to that stimuli. But tolerate something is be equanimous. And if in your mind there is equanimity, you have the possibility to see, in this case, what is a pleasant feeling. You are going to understand what is a pleasant feeling, and you are not going to react. When one experiences pain, if one does not understand feeling, the tendency to aversion is present for one not seeing the escape from it. It's the same, but in a different direction. The one of Rob Whitson has taught with reference to that peaceful feeling, neither painful nor pleasant feeling. If one seeks delight even in this, one is still not released from suffering. So here the Buddha is talking about equanimity. And the Buddha is showing us that the feeling of equanimity is a feeling that you can find delight on it. So this is an extra step that the practitioner have to do regarding not identified with that kind of feeling, because it feels very stable, very open. But this equanimity is in fact, is one of the is the last, uh, uh, is one of the 7 enlightenment factors, awakening factors, and it's very important to achieve nirvana. But it's just a feeling too. It's just a feeling. So it's just a feeling. It's not mind feeling. I'm not the equanimity incarnated, nothing like that. It's just a feeling too. So this feeling has his own conditions. When we can go deep in our understanding, we also understand that the wholesome feelings are also something that we have to understand as they really are. That just because there are conditions to arises, they arises. But we don't have to attach to them. And when we do not attach to that kind of wholesome feelings, the mind starts to feel more and more freedom for any kind of feeling. And this is why this sutta is called abandonment. Because with the abandon, not only for the wholesome feeling, but especially with the unwholesome feelings, we start to develop a deep vision and a deep attitude towards our practice. This is the way that we can cultivate disenchantment and dispassion. And then the Buddha said, when a bhikkhu who is ardent does not neglect clear and comprehension, sampajana, in Pali, then that wise man fully understands feelings in their entirety. So this is very important because this is how the Buddha give us the instruction. You don't not have to neglect clear comprehension. So we see the feelings as they really are. The Buddha describes in a very beautiful sutta. I think that the sutta is in this also in this collection, the Samyutta Nikayas, in the book 22, and he describes, I think, feeling is like a bubble of foam. Yeah, or
Foam, I don't know the meaning of foam.
foam, espuma,
Foam.
foam.
About, okay.
Yeah, and the other one, I also think that in this sutta that I remember right now, I think that the body is like a foam's bubble, but the feeling is like he give us a beautiful simile. It's like a rain, and all the drops touch the pond or the river, and that touch that generate this little wave, this slight touch, that is feeling. And when I start this, even when this contact start, they just disappear. So feeling is really fast. And this is the important thing. Feeling is impermanent, impersonal, and unstable or insatisfactory. Why is that? Because when we have a pleasant feeling, in some moment, this pleasant feeling will disappear. So it's okay. When we have a pleasant feeling, we enjoy that, but it's not everlasting. And when we have of course, a painful feeling. We want to get rid of it. And the last one that we are talking about is here, the nor pleasant, neither painful nor pleasant feelings. So these feelings are really, really, really fast and really impermanence is the word. We cannot have the expectation that that feeling would be stable. Even the jhanas, maybe some meditators can stay in the jhana, in whatever jhana they want to be, but eventually the jhanas will be disappear, and you have to return to your ordinary mind. This is why it's so important to understand here. The word is clear comprehension. What is the nature of the feeling? What is the origin of the feeling? And what is the end of the feeling? So, having fully understood feelings, he has taintless in this very life, standing in Dhamma with the body breakups, the knowledge master cannot be reckoned. Well, this is a very deep statement, especially the last phrase. When someone fully understood feelings, he liberated this very life. And because of this, there is no possibility to be reckoned, to be recognized. We cannot recognize people who are free, or not free from feeling, but understands feelings. If we think about this last phrase, we're going to understand that feeling is a mark, feeling is a sign of something. If we remember in the Majjhima Nikaya number 44, the nun Dhammadina, she was teaching to his former husband, Visakha. She talked about feeling, and she gave us very deep descriptions and very deep knowledge about feeling. So the feeling is a mark. And lust, aversion, or ignorance are signs, are formations, are concepts that arise in the mind of the practitioners and start to generate some kind of identification. I like it, I don't like it, I am that. So when we have a feeling, if we are not aware, if our mindfulness is not strong enough, we are going to find ourselves, I like it, I don't like it, I am that, I don't want to be that. So I start to arise in our mind. And not just because it's a way of talking. I am, because we start to feel uh, this kind of uh, attachment. We start to feel some kind of bond regarding the experience. It is my experience. And because it is my experience, I want more. Or it is my experience and it's a bad experience and I don't want any more. In some sutras, the Buddha is described, it's not the Buddha, I think it's Sariputta, describes feeling, Nibbana, as the extinguishment of feeling. if we not feel, we are liberated from all the hindrances and disturbances that arises from feeling. That is one of the reasons why we cannot experience nirvana. When we said that we experience nibbana, it's just a way of describing things, because the mind, after the nibbana experience, the conditioned mind will try to make concepts and experiences regarding that touch with the nibbana element. So, are the feeling bad? No, the feeling are not bad. The feeling are our present experience. We cannot fight with that. We can enjoy a meal. We can enjoy a beautiful song. We can enjoy a beautiful sight. But we have to understand that that kind of experience have a beginning and have an end. And if we understand that, we don't have so much trouble with the feelings. The trouble is when I fight with that experience and I don't want it, and I want to prolong, I want more of that, or when I want to be that experience. So, this is the sutta. Now I stop share.
In the middle of the darkness here.
Yeah. So, if you have any question.
Yes, I don't remember. I don't know the meaning of fetters.
Fetters, yeah, grilletes.
Ah, okay. Okay, there are some words that I don't know.
Yeah,
Eh,
some words are very, very Buddhist.
Yes, very, yeah. What I thought while you were like talking about the feelings, the last part of the sutta, is that the feelings, um, when you don't when you are not attached to the feelings, but anyway you are going to be attached because it has to be with the five, I don't know how to say it in English, five agregados,
5 aggregates.
aggregates. So those feelings that comes from the five aggregates, they are very difficult to be like extinguished in some way because they are part of, I don't know, being alive. I mean, right?
Yes, yes. The short answer is yes. Then
But
you have to practice uh, in a very thoughtful way, because generally when we talk about, for example, the 5 aggregate is just a way to describe 5 processes. The 5 aggregates are just the processes that is the manifestation in samsara of we call someone, yeah, between quoting someone. So generally for someone who is not a sotapanna, who are not a stream entry, it's very difficult to see the 5 aggregates because it's like a mass. It's like the person have the feeling that is something compact. When someone experiences the stream entry, generally it's more easy to that person to see the process of the 5 aggregates more. I don't want to use the word separate, but in a more clear way. So here the five aggregates could be a possibility to make to meditate on the five aggregates. So maybe you can go in the first part of the meditation, you can go to be in touch with the loving kindness, with metta, the first 20 minutes. And when your mind is very established, or maybe your mind is in when your mind is in the fourth jhana for a while, you can start to see your body from the feet to the top of your head. And if you're making some scanning through your body, you maybe start to feel some reaction in your mind. And that reactions are things that we have to let go. And that kind of reactions show us that where we are attached to. Generally, these five processes are interrelated. Sometimes it's not the body, sometimes it's the feeling itself. Oh, this is so beautiful, and I want to grab it. Or maybe it's something like, oh, I perceive very well. So the perception is the point here. How I describe, how I label the experience. Then there is a very powerful that is the sankharas, the formations. That is our intentions. That is, yes, that is all the background of our mind. So, for example, it's a very interesting practice when you are in meditation. Maybe you are going to realize that you you had an experience, you had an intention before the meditation, and you suddenly find yourself recognize that you are making too much effort. And in that moment, you recognize, oh, because I want to experience that. Somehow I want to try to control my experience. I want to try to uh, guide my experience through my intention without knowing. And then there is the consciousness that is a very tricky, is a very tricky process because the conscious is just a reflection of our sankharas. So a deep study, and when I say study, I don't want to say uh, intellectual study, the deep investigation of our five aggregates is a very powerful tool to liberate the mind and give you the tools to understand that what is emptiness. And we are not going to find nothing inside of the five aggregates or outside the five aggregates, or that something is ownership of the five aggregates or the five aggregates owner something inside. We come to realize that these are just processes and nothing else. There is no person in this way. There is no actor or actress. It's just experience. And this is the main thing of this sutta. It's just a feeling. But if we don't understand the feeling and we don't have a strong mindfulness, it's very difficult to recognize the underlying tendency. And then we start to reinitiate the karma. So, yeah, the five aggregates are a type of meditation.
Okay, but when you enter to the stream, then it is difficult to what I think is that the main work is to get rid of the attachment to the five aggregates, because
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
first thing. Yeah, it's the first thing. I don't know. I mean, I imagine that, like,
Um,
where the feeling arises because of the
yeah.
five aggregates. It's what I'm understanding
The feeling
right
is
now.
just things. If you can put in a different angle, the feeling is uh, just it's just a way of in which the experience manifests.
Okay.
Of course, we are feeling all the time, and we feel this feeling that is part of mentality have a manifestation in our body.
Mm-hmm.
We generally put names of our feeling that is perception, but perception and feeling are also sankharas, are also mental formations.
Okay.
And consciousness is the process that recognize all this process. It where all this process reflect what I want to say with this. When someone is in a stream entry, and especially when it's in a stream winner, they have already did a lot of work with the five aggregates
Mm.
because they get rid of doubt. They also have understand that there is no identity, and they also understand that rituals, rites, and superstitions are not the way to achieve nirvana. There are some aspects of this are very important, especially the superstition that this the repetition of something is not conditional. So if I always put this white t-shirt, I always will deliver a good Dhamma talk. No, 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 no. So that is a superstition, something that apparently doesn't have any kind of conditions. So when you realize that all things are conditional, sorry, this is a great wisdom. You start to understand that the five aggregates are aggregates, but for a stream entry, sometimes this is my feeling. This is me. This is myself. But the stream enterer quickly recognizes, oh no, this is suffering also. Because when this seka is the word for from the practitioner who have a stream entry to the arahant without fruit. That is seka. A trainee is the or the monk or the person in high training. The person recognizes very quickly where are or how their attachment arises. For someone who hasn't this kind of experience, sometimes this kind of attachment or obsession can last for days, months, or even years. So what is the condition of a Sotapanna or Sakadagamin. It's a higher degree of mindfulness and stability, and of course, equanimity.
Okay, it's something to explore there.
Yeah, yeah. And you're going to find that in the daily activities, there is a lot of information. When we talk, when we rise from our bed and going to wash our teeth, and in very small uh, interchanges with some other people, generally this kind of underlying tendencies are showing their cloth. But through the 6 R's, through the right effort, we are going to weaken these tendencies. And this is also something that uh, we can witnessing. We can witness this kind of release and relief. So, do you have a more question?
No, I'm just, I have to process all this information.
Well, let's share some merit. Are we going to no? Give me a moment here. Yeah. All right. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kind of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May the alone protect the Buddha dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you.
Right, thank to you, Paola.
Bye bye. See
Bye
you.
bye.